Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Robin Armbrecht at Really Robin Stamps, and I am so glad that you're here today and you're going to play with paper with me. Today is April 29th, 2022, and this is episode 56 of Papercrafting Playdate. Whether you're joining me live or whether you're watching this on the replay down the road someday, I am so glad that you're here, and I think you're going to enjoy the techniques we're doing today. So I'm calling this It's Hip to Be Square for all my 80s fans out there, and I think you'll see why I'm calling today's episode that as soon as we get to the table. So let's not delay. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what we're going to work on. All right, give me a minute. Welcome everyone. Today is Friday in my world. Okay, let me adjust the camera. So happy Friday if it is also Friday for you. All right, look what I've got. Our new catalog. Now I know that many of you have received your catalog in the mail from me. Probably this week, hopefully, and you are flipping through it and excited. Let's see who's here. Hi, Karen. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Liz. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sonal. Welcome, everyone. So this brand new catalog goes live next week on May 3rd. And so after that point, I'll be able to flip through it online with you and show you what's inside in case you don't have one. But if you do have one and you have it handy, you will be able to kind of look through it today. Let me show you some happy mail. Sarah, thank you so much. Sarah sent me this gorgeous card. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit here. Isn't this so pretty? She popped up the center part, which clearly you had to cut very specially, Sarah. It's kind of like an eclipse technique and a spotlighting technique put together a little bit. I love this. This is just gorgeous. Thank you, Sarah. And then I got a very beautiful card from Candy. I love this. I love it when you can cut out a word like that. Beautiful background paper. Thank you so much for this thank you card, Candy. It's a cute little note card size too. I always forget to make little smaller cards, you know. And then I got this beautiful Easter card from Wendy. Hi, Wendy. I know you're here. Thank you so much. Using that gorgeous, gorgeous paper. It's perfect for Easter, right? And spring of all those spring occasions. Just beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. So we're going to talk about some of the new designer series papers that are in the new catalog because it's so amazing, right? I think that, hi Kathy, hi Mary, hi Lynn, hi Barb, hi Judy. Who else am I missing? Hi Susan. Oh, it's so great to have everybody here. Okay, I don't know about you if you've looked through the catalog already. I feel like Stampin' Up! Completely knocked out of the park the designer series papers that are in this new book. Every single one of them is a home run. And so I'm going to feature 4 of these today. I've done my homework, as you can see. This is the best kind of homework you can have because it's fun to do, right? But I do enjoy it when I make myself do things like this because it helps me get to know new products. I talked about last week how I get overwhelmed when I get a new bundle or a new suite of products and I have a new stamp set and dies and designer series paper and maybe a new kind of embellishment or ribbon or something, I want to know how they go together, right? And it's not something that I can just figure out like that. So I like to just break things apart. And last week I just, shared with you how I like to just sometimes forget about the dies altogether initially, and I will just play with the stamp set and get to know those stamps. And then once I do that, then I feel like, okay, now I can add another thing in, and then I look at the dies. And that's maybe just how my brain works. And some people just, dive in and can do all of that, but I have to kind of process it slowly. When I get a new pack of paper, this really helps me too, because I know I'm going to be playing with this paper for a long time, for a whole year, right? That it's going to be available. So I need to know at a glance what colors are going to go with the paper and what do all the, things look like, right? So I'm going to start by showing you this Hues of Happiness designer series paper, and this is definitely one we're going to be making our hip to be square cards with today. So this paper is my top favorite. We're going to just look at this kind of slowly here. One of the reasons because it goes with the brights and it has so many colors in it. It's got just this nice, beautiful, soft rainbow feel. Okay, so those are 5 of the sheets. Now let's just flip them over. You've got this great canvas looking design on the backs of some of them. This paper is frameable because, just as it is, it stands alone, right? And there's that one. Now this is all I have left of this piece right here. So if you have gotten my, if you purchased the new catalog party pack that we're going to have our kickoff event for next week, you have this, right? And I literally cut up all of my pieces of this to use for that. So this is all I have left. This paper, gorgeous. All right, so that's what we're going to make our cards with today. So let's dive in and make some cards. All right, so I'm calling this, by the way, last day to use April's hostess code. So I'm going to just show this and then I'll mark it in the comment section so you can reference that. If you need to order before the end of the month, you can do that. And then I'm going to get it out of our way. So what you need for today's projects, you need card base, you need a trimmed quarter, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So this is what sits on top of a card front and has that nice mat around it. And then what you need are squares, okay? And these squares are 1 1/4 inch squares. So 1 1/4 inch squares. This is like a magical square number for card fronts. I'm going to show you at least six different ways to use these squares on your card today. How about that? So the first way that we're going to use them is simply to cover the front of your card. All right, and I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about here. So 12 of these fit across the front of a trimmed quarter. Perfectly. And you can either leave a space in between or you can push them together. And I'll show you what I mean by that. And let's do that. Okay. So this is just our first basic card front, and you use 12 1 1/4 inch squares, and you cover the front, and it fits perfectly. So let me just show you. You're going to have to talk amongst yourselves. Liz, you're right. It looks like a quilt, and I'll tell you why, or how, or why I was thinking this way. 2 reasons. First of all, my mom came for Easter, and so I got to hang out with my mom, and when we're together, we always talk about quilts because she quilts all the time, and that is what she does, and she's really good at it. So I had quilts already on my mind, Liz. Yes. Secondly, kind of going back to what I was just talking about getting started with new papers and new stamp sets. Now, when I have that big, beautiful pack of designer series paper, and maybe you feel this way too, but it's kind of hard to cut into it, right? You see all of those beautiful 12 by 12 sheets, and you're like, I don't want to cut into it. I might, mess it up, or I might, whatever. So what I do, and especially since I was already cutting mine apart to do my homework, right? I like to just cut small bits off. And so being able to just cut 1 1/4 inch strips and then making these into squares was a really nice and easy way to get to know every single pattern that's coming in that pack. So I'm getting to play with them all, but I'm really only using a tiny bit of my paper. So it's not stressful, right? If you're kind of worried about using up or making the wrong cut or whatever, this is just such an easy way. This is also great if you're at the end of a pack of paper and you've got scraps left. So you don't have enough big pieces to cover the whole front of a card. You can cut it into strips or squares, and you've got tons of little layouts that you can do with strips and squares. All right, so there is our 12. So here's what I've done for you, just to help us as we walk through. We're going to have little patterns, right? I'm going to take pictures of these. These will be on the PDF for these square cards or quilt cards. I'm not sure what I'm going to call them yet, but this is 12 squares that'll cover the front of your card. This one's nice and easy. It always looks great. And you can use however many different patterns that as you want. So in this case, I'm using both sides, but I only cut 3 different pieces of designer series paper, and I just cut a bunch of those squares to use with all these cards. But there's only, 3 different sheets, but there's 6 different sides. Now, I'm not going to do it on these samples that I'm making right now, but to make this look like a quilt, of course, you would want to run this through an embossing folder and quilt it together, right? You don't have to, but if you kind of want to add that extra step to make it look amazing, then that's what you do next. All right, so there's our basic card. You can plop any kind of greeting, shape, size, or whatever on it. It's just a great way to play with your designer series paper. So the other thing I wanted to play with today are these new dies. These are on page 175 in your catalog. And these are great. We had a set very similar to this a couple years ago that a lot of you have. So if you have that old one, it was called Stitched Shapes, you don't need this one, right? You've already got shapes in Stitch. But if you don't have stitched shapes of some kind, this is a great die set to get. You get let's see, 5 squares, 6 circles, and then you get these little kind of like flag banner types. You get 4 of those. So there's, I believe, what did I say? 5, 6, and 4. So there's 15 dies. Here are the sizes. I'll take a picture of this so you can use it as a reference in case you get this particular set. So I thought for our greetings, we would definitely use these dies because they're stitched. We're kind of have that quilting theme. So we'll add a greeting. And we can pop this up. Now I picked a square just because you can see how you can put this anywhere on the front of this card. Circles would look great. Any kind of shape will look amazing. We'll pop it up. I'm gonna do it right here. Nope, I'm gonna do it right here, because I've got some flowers. So the Hues of Happiness designer series paper is not only beautiful, but it is created to be easy to use. These 2 pieces here of this paper are meant to be cut out with the dies. So there's a die for the big flower, there's a die for this one, there's a die for this shape, and then there's a die for this shape as well, and then there's a die for this leaf, and then there's a die for this leaf. So all of the flowers and all of the leaves can be cut out to be used as, you know, little focal point or embellishments. It's quite amazing. So this is a great little stamp set bundle. Definitely is going to be a class here coming up because it's just so amazing. And I actually figured out, I don't have it in front of me, but I figured out exactly how many you can get from one sheet, and it's quite a bit. So I've already cut those out, and we're just going to decorate our card with those to finish it off. I don't even know if I need these leaves. This is so cute. But we'll just put a little leaf up there. And there we go. All right, so there's our basic 12 square. Very simple, right? There's nothing brilliant about this layout. It's just a nice way that you can play with your paper, play with scraps, play with new papers, whatever you feel like you need to do. All right, that's our first one. So we're going to do a variation of this design that uses 8 squares and leaves room for a nice focal point. Thank you. Yes, Susan, luscious is the exact right word for this paper. It is absolutely gorgeous. Oops, I forgot to show you. So here's my, okay. Okay, Robin, slow down. All right, here we go. Before we do the next design, here is this paper called Pretty Prints. Look at all of the colors that coordinate with these it only seems like there's 4 colors, right? But there's these different shades and values within this paper that coordinate with all 12 of these colors. That's pretty amazing, right? Called Pretty Prints. It is meant to look like that technique where you can use the sun to create prints. and it's just on different colored paper. This is a unique package. It does have 12 sheets, just like all the other packages of Designer Series paper, but each sheet is different. So even though you get like 3 in this, this color that's kind of like Coastal Cabana, there's 6 different designs. All right, so there aren't any repeats. Right, so it's gorgeous. So what I wanted to show you with that paper specifically was, here's another card of the first design. And I thought this one looks like an Amish quilt, right? And then here is one with the Tea Boutique. If you can see the difference, here I left this one separated. Here I just smushed them together. So you can do this either way. You can have all the edges of your squares touching, or you can separate them. Now this one's been embossed with the gingham folder. Now you might worry about the fact that, like, I can't get anything straight. How am I going to get all those squares straight, right? Well, hopefully you saw me put this one together and you know that they are not completely straight. And I'm telling you, once you emboss it, it doesn't matter. It's so beautiful that it really doesn't matter. But if you don't like to worry about all of those kind of like grout lines, right? Just push them all together like this, and then you don't have to worry about it. All right, sorry, I meant to show you those samples. Now let's move on to this next one. This uses eight squares and then leaves room for a focal point. So let's pull in our paper. Again, this is trimmed. And we'll just start gluing these down. So this is a nice layout when you kind of just want a little bit different effect. You're basically taking out 4 squares and you're replacing it with a larger square. So for this one, you just have to kind of go around the horn here. It's taking all my concentration. And then we'll do this one here. Okay, so very similar. So for this one, this fits a 2.5 inch square. And you could move this square anywhere on this layout where there's 4 squares. So you could put it in any of these sections, right? So you can move it around. The inside is like 2 1/4 inches, which is the perfect size of this second square here in this stitched stylish shapes. So that's the one that I used. So we'll finish this off very similarly, and we'll make a greeting on that stitched shape. And then we'll add our cutouts. And pop that up. All right, so it's very similar, but just a little bit different to keep it really interesting, right? If you're gonna just cut out a bunch of squares, you might as well make some different kind of layouts. If you have the Bold Bright cardstock pack where you have a lot of the Bold Brights colors in the Brights color family, this is a great pack of paper because there's so many of the Brights within it. All right, so there is this version with 8 squares and a focal point. Let me just show you what I mean. So Melon Mambo, Mango Melody, Granny Apple Green, Gorgeous Grape, Flirty Flamingo, Daffodil Delight, and Coastal Cabana, those are all Brights. And so if you have that assorted pack, it's going to go perfectly with this paper. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Marcia. Hi, Jana. Hey, Faye. Hi, Pam. Okay, would you like to see some more? So here is this one. And this is from a pack of paper that's called Sun Prints. It has almost the exact same designs as that Pretty Prints that I just showed you, except these are all in blues and white and gray granite. So it's more accurate to that actual technique of making sun prints that you can in when you have that kind of chemical reaction that happens in the sun with nature. And they've added that beautiful gray granite color in there. So that's our brand new Starry Sky and Pacific Point, Night of Navy, and Gray Granite. How pretty is that? The blues are so pretty. And then here is one in the Tea Boutique. Okay, let me show you this paper as long as I have this out. Here's the Tea Boutique. This is a 6x6 pack, so there's 12 sheets and there's 24 designs. All 5 of the new in colors are featured in this pack of Designer Series paper, plus some classics. It's beautiful, of course. Now, so this design uses 8 squares. So the other thing you can do with 8 squares is just do 2 rows, right? Just do 2 rows, and that makes it look great too. Here's an example of 2 rows, but I just corner rounded, you know, a diagonal corner. And so you can get a completely different look just by rounding a corner, right? Again, none of these are brand new ideas, right? I'm just kind of collecting all the things that you can do with 1 1/4 inch squares. All right, so this is also with 8. This takes 8 squares. This takes 8 squares. A pinwheel also takes 8 squares. Here's a sample with the Tea Boutique. I'm not going to actually put this one together for you, but it's not that difficult. This one you actually start with the mat because you have to have something to glue these onto. So you would start with the mat and then you glue the 4 corners of these 4 pieces here, and then you slide these in diagonally to glue down. But you can get that nice little pinwheel shape. And that's what you can do with 8. Okay. Now, the next design uses somewhere between 7 and 8. And this one's called diagonals. Because the squares are put together this way. So let me show you how this one works. So I'm going to use, I randomly cut this paper, and look how fun that is that the centers of those flowers were in there. So I thought, well, we're just going to go with that and use it. For this one, because you've got diagonals, you need to find the center so that you can, put this in the center. So the easiest way to do that, and I marked this on the back here. Since this is a trimmed quarter, this is 5 1/4. So half of that is 2 5/8. On the long edge, it's 2 5/8. So you want to mark that. So we're just going to find the center of this piece, and that will help us when we're putting it together. So I'm going to draw a really light line, then I'm going to erase right there. And then if you want to, you can find the halfway mark this way. If you want it dead center, and half of 4 inches is 2. Okay, so now we've got the center. And so this middle one will be the one that we put on first. So we're going to line it up with all 4 of those points. Like that. And then the next one that you want to do for this particular design, let me flip that over again. The next one that you want to do is not this one. You want to put the one that's going to go here, like that. And then it's a lot easier to put that next one here. Again, I feel like 1 1/4 is kind of a magic number when it comes to covering these, making these designs, because it just kind of matches up with the length of this trimmed quarter so nicely. So basically it's like we've got 2 overlapping squares here. Looks kind of like diamonds. Like that, which I think is beautiful, just like that. But if you want to, you can finish it off like this by just creating a couple diagonals. And so all you have to do is cut your squares in half diagonally. And so you want to just make sure the points are on the track when you cut. And then you can finish off the sides like that. Oh, I'm trying to see who quilts. So Sarah quilts. Argyle socks. Yes, it does. Karen is a quilter. Oh, Liz, you're a quilter too. Awesome. Well, the good thing about these paper quilts, if you quilt like my mom anyway, it won't take you months to get it done. You'll be able to get your project done in one day, maybe even in 1 hour. Okay, so I just made that pattern go all the way to the edge. I'm going to get rid of my pencil mark and trim the ends, and then we'll attach this to our card. Again, very simple. It's just at a diagonal. And this one, we're just going to put a very simple little greeting on there. Obviously, this can go in any direction, right? You can make this, let's just do it this way for fun. We'll put it that way. So these are the embellishments that go with the Hues of Happiness paper. So you've got these beautiful glossy dots that are in the brights colors. So let's just put some of these blue ones on here. Where do I want them? I think I want them close together, like that. Just give it a little bit of a sparkle. Okay. Here is with the Tea Boutique paper, and here's that gingham folder again. Susan, yep, you're right. You can use this one with anything. It just is so pretty. See how it just elevates the whole design when you put the embossing folder on there? Now you can turn this design and make it go across the short side of the card, across the 4-inch side, and then you really truly only need 8 squares instead of wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need 7 squares. This one you need 9. And so here is with the sun prints. And this is the new 3D Fern embossing folder. It's beautiful. This is on the starry sky. Okay. All right, so that's our diagonals. Now, of course, you can just take squares and you can tumble them, right? You can just tumble them across the front of your card and you've got a simple, beautiful layout. And you get to use all those beautiful papers and it's simple, right? It's just a great way. So since these are just all kind of wonky, I just called it like tumbled. They just look like tumbled squares. Hi, Linda. Thank you. Okay, my last card to show you today kind of takes the idea of squares and we're going to add a little bit of a rectangle to it. All right, so it's not quite keeping the two squares together. It's a slightly different measurement, but it has the effect of combining two of those together, right? And I'm calling this one layered bricks. So for this design, you still need your 1.5 inch square. And then when you have your 1.5 inch strip, you want to cut some pieces that are 2 3/8. And that's how you get the perfect little rectangle. And I'm just using all different papers. This would be beautiful to use the exact same paper over and over again. The pattern would stand out in a different way. It would look really lovely. So let's quickly glue this together. Have I convinced you you need this Hues of Happiness paper yet? I'm telling you what, it is so beautiful and happy. I guess that's how they came up with that name, Hues of Happiness. It's a good name. It's accurate. Okay. Let's make that one stick in there. So this would be a good one, obviously, to quilt. I didn't quite get mine straight, but I'm not going to worry about that because it just creates a background. And once you put that beautiful focal point on there, kind of fades away. So this one I'm going to put on navy. And then we'll just put one of these big old navy flowers on there. Let's pop this up. then we'll add this little purple guy right there. Okay, so there's our layered brick design, just a slightly different version. Here's the Tea Boutique. This one's embossed with pretty flowers, embossing folder. And then you can turn this design and just do 3 rows. You just have to adjust this measurement. This is 2 3/4 instead of 2 3/8. Isn't this a great little masculine birthday card? Love the blues. Love the blues. Okay. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. Yes, Barb, I love puzzle making and figuring out how to make things go together and work together. All right, let's find our samples that we just created here, and we'll look at we'll review, and then you guys have to let me know what you think. What do you think? Okay, so we did 12 squares here, and then we did 8 squares here with the focal point, and then we did diagonal squares, and then we did the squares and rectangles. And then we know we can tumble them and we can pinwheel them. And we can also just do a couple little rows, right? And that's not even all, right? You can do all kinds of things with squares. It's hip to be square, right? You guys are so awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate all that feedback. I encourage you, right? So what do you do? What do you do now that you've seen this? I would look at your stash of paper and think about, do I have some paper that I want to use up? And spend some time cutting up a bunch of squares and play with these patterns. Do you have a new pack of paper that maybe you want to just kind of get to know a little bit, but you don't want to cut too much of it apart? You can just cut off some 1.5 inch strips, make your squares. So think about what you have in your stash, right? And pull that paper out and cut it up into squares and see what you can come up with. So I'm going to put all of these designs together on one PDF so that you will have that you can download and save for when you want to just play with squares. And there we go. We've kicked off the new catalog showing 4 of these gorgeous papers that are new, and I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. Thank you so very much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.